A beacon of hope challenged. The green light law, under fire. New York State's green light law has become a focal point in the ongoing national debate over immigration. This law, enacted in 2019, allows undocumented immigrants to obtain driver's licenses. It also limits the information state officials can share with federal immigration authorities. Supporters of the law argue that it promotes public safety and integrates undocumented immigrants into society. They believe that allowing undocumented immigrants to drive legally makes the roads safer for everyone. Opponents, however, contend that it undermines federal immigration enforcement and sends the wrong message about the rule of law. The green light law has faced challenges since its inception. Legal battles and political clashes have marked its short history. The recent lawsuit filed by the Trump administration represents the most significant legal challenge to date. This lawsuit, targeting the heart of New York's immigration policies, highlights the deep divisions over immigration in the United States. The outcome of this legal battle could have far-reaching consequences. A victory for the Trump administration could embolden other states to enact similar restrictions on undocumented immigrants. It could also signal a shift in the balance of power between state and federal governments on immigration matters. Conversely, a win for New York could reaffirm the rights of states to enact their own immigration policies. It could set a precedent for other states seeking to resist federal immigration enforcement efforts. The battle lines are drawn. Trump administration sues New York. On February 12, 2025, the Trump administration filed a lawsuit against New York State, directly challenging the green light law. The lawsuit, filed in federal court, names Governor Kathy Hochul, Attorney General Letitia James, and DMV Commissioner Mark Schroeder as defendants. It alleges that the green light law violates the Supremacy Clause of the U.S. Constitution, which establishes federal law as the supreme law of the land. The lawsuit argues that the green light law obstructs federal immigration enforcement efforts. It contends that by restricting access to DMV data, New York is hindering the ability of federal agents to identify and apprehend undocumented immigrants. The lawsuit also claims that the law encourages illegal immigration by providing a safe haven for undocumented immigrants. Leading the charge for the Trump administration is Attorney General Pam Bondi. Bondi, a staunch supporter of President Trump's immigration policies, has been a vocal critic of sanctuary cities and states. She argues that the green light law undermines national security and public safety. This lawsuit is part of a broader strategy by the Trump administration to crack down on illegal immigration. The administration has taken a hard line on immigration since taking office, implementing a number of controversial policies. These policies include separating families at the border, building a wall along the U.S.-Mexico border, and banning travel from several Muslim-majority countries. Governor Kathy Hochul's resolute stand defending New York's values. Governor Kathy Hochul has responded forcefully to the Trump administration's lawsuit, denouncing it as a politically motivated attack on New York values. Hochul has vowed to fight the lawsuit vigorously, asserting that the green light law is constitutional and serves the best interests of New Yorkers. In a press conference following the lawsuit's announcement, Hochul defended the green light law as a common-sense measure that promotes public safety. She argued that allowing undocumented immigrants to obtain driver's licenses makes the roads safer for everyone by ensuring that all drivers are licensed and insured. Hochul also emphasized that the law does not prevent federal agents from accessing DMV data with a warrant as required by law. Hochul framed the lawsuit as an attempt to score political points at the expense of New Yorkers. She accused the Trump administration of trying to distract from its own failures on immigration and other issues. Hochul's strong stance has resonated with many New Yorkers, who view the lawsuit as an attack on their state's values of diversity and inclusion. The lawsuit has also drawn criticism from immigration rights advocates who argue that it is part of a broader pattern of hostility towards immigrants by the Trump administration. They point to the administration's other immigration policies, such as the family separation policy, as evidence of this hostility. Section 4 Mayor Adams navigates the storm, a balancing act on immigration. The legal battle over the green light law has placed New York City Mayor Eric Adams in a delicate position. Adams, who has expressed support for the law, must balance the city's commitment to welcoming immigrants with its responsibility to cooperate with federal law enforcement. On February 13, 2025, Mayor Adams met with border czar Tom Homan at ICE headquarters in New York City. The meeting, coming on the heels of the Trump administration's lawsuit, highlights the complex relationship between the city and federal government on immigration. During the meeting, Adams and Homan discussed ways to improve coordination between the city and ICE on immigration enforcement. Adams reiterated the city's commitment to protecting the rights of all New Yorkers, regardless of immigration status. He also emphasized the importance of public safety and cooperating with federal authorities to apprehend dangerous criminals. The meeting was met with mixed reactions from immigration advocates. Some praised Adams for engaging with Homan and seeking common ground. Others expressed concern that the meeting could lead to increased collaboration between the city and ICE, potentially putting undocumented immigrants at risk. Section 5. A Mother's Plea for Justice. Tammy Noble's heartbreaking testimony. The human toll of the nation's broken immigration system was brought into sharp focus during a press conference held by Attorney General Pam Bondi. Tammy Nobles, whose daughter was tragically murdered by an undocumented immigrant, delivered a heart-wrenching account of her loss and called for stricter immigration enforcement. Noble's daughter, a bright and promising young woman, was killed by a member of the MS-13 gang who had entered the country illegally as an unaccompanied minor. The perpetrator had been apprehended by immigration authorities but was later released. Nobles placed blame on the lack of communication and coordination between federal and local authorities, arguing that her daughter's death could have been prevented. Her story, marked by unimaginable grief and a desperate plea for justice, resonated deeply with those present. Noble's testimony served as a stark reminder of the real-world consequences of the nation's ongoing debate over immigration. Her call for accountability and a more secure border struck a chord with those who believe that current immigration policies are failing to protect American citizens. Noble's story, while tragic, is not unique. Countless families across the country have been torn apart by crimes committed by undocumented immigrants. These tragedies fuel the debate over immigration, with some arguing for stricter enforcement and others advocating for a more compassionate approach.